How are we all? Let's adjust this a little bit. Alright, well, started a little bit late, so we don't have a ton of time. Um, we'll go over a bit of the Whick conversation. I listened to it a little bit last night. I didn't listen to the majority of it, so we'll see how that went, and then we're talking to Max afterwards. Hopefully that won't go too long. I am so tired. I know I say that a lot, but today it's unreal. I was up basically all night editing the last video essay, so still recovering from that, but we will survive this. In any case, we have this thing to look at. Lovely.
Okay. What's his Blow that.
Hello.
We got the OBS.
Oh, yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's a way to just there's a way to just give you my canvas, right? No comment.
Fair enough.
If you're waiting for.
No comment. Hang on, what's this? What's the no comment to?
So, do you think, right, that we should show the YouTube admin team 21 Jump Street so that they unban you from YouTube?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I saw Kanye's tweet about that.
Hi, I'm wondering if Max gave you the source for the quote you were looking for. Yeah, he did. It was on video.
No comment.
Fair enough.
If you're waiting for an answer.
I wanted to keep it light at least, right?
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that, but I appreciate the attempt.
An attempt was made, as I say.
Yes.
So first of all, let me say thank you for agreeing to come on and talk to me and kind of discuss this from a little bit different angle than I think most people are going to take this. Like, I know I've seen, or I've not seen this, I've tried to avoid this, but I know of many streamers who've gone through the article line by line, looking for inconsistencies, looking for errors, looking for assertions you made that aren't true. And that's fine and all, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this, right?
That's boring
I wanted
shit.
to kind of pick your brain about why you've made the choices you have in the article. Maybe if there was any inspiration, like when you decided to make the article, all sorts of things. But we'll just get into it. And
Okay.
I guess that's the first question I have for you. When did you decide that this was a necessary thing? That, okay, I want to make an article, and this has to happen.
I first created a Destiny folder on my computer, I think, when Rose Wrist was debating him about Fuentes.
Okay.
And Rose Wrist asked him if it was an anti-Semitic comment to say that Jews are in charge of the world, or secretly run the world. And Destiny said, assuming it's not true. I think that was the moment I was like,
Thank you.
I was like, I feel like I am gonna need to lay all this out at some point in the future. Maybe I'll make a documentary or a video about our Fuentes debates and how I just think that he was kind of giving Fuentes free passage into YouTube land. But the whole piece, just saying like I think everything should be investigated, was definitely it was as soon as Lav told me that he was still sexting Anna, which was right after our stream, November something.
Okay.
7th or something.
And so, you had been wanting to do something on him since the Rose Wrist conversation. You decided, okay, I'm going to need to talk about him in some capacity. But it was a conversation with Lav, and when Lav informed you about the the sexting of Anna that you decided, oh, this needs to be for lack of a better word, a manifesto, right?
Well, report is a better word. I don't think we are. I think article, report, really anything is a better word than manifesto, because manifesto implies while it is emotional for me, it gives a picture of somebody in a shack in the middle of nowhere, losing their mind.
We can call it a report if you'd like.
That's my preferred pronoun.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I read it, all of it.
Nice.
I guess I would consider myself, and this might not be what you intended, but I consider myself kind of the target audience for this report. Someone who isn't familiar with all the lore of all the streamers. I'm not very big into the drama scene in this space. I don't like a lot of the criticism I've heard of the report was that it treaded over old ground, but most of it was new to me because again I'm not familiar with the lore of this space. So I guess I would start by asking, is that the intended audience for this report, or if not that, then who?
Is the audio better? I boosted it a little bit. Let's fix that.
I think the intended audience is you stand to gain financially by aligning yourself with Destiny. So you're part of the intended audience for sure, but it's not you're already entangled.
Am I an orbiter?
Thanks,
Dietrich. Appreciate it.
You are approaching becoming one. It seems like I don't see you coming onto his stream to talk to him, so I don't know much about your relationship. My understanding though is that you're kind of taking kind of similar to Prime Kai's role.
Oh, I mean, it would be pretty fair to call myself a Prime Kai orbiter. He's how I got my start.
So it seems like you're doing a similar thing to that, and I don't think I'd ever call Prime Kai an orbiter of Destiny either. So, but still, you're entangled for sure. You're in the system. Obviously, you're doing streams with him, with people adjacent to him. I mean, I think the audience for the report is probably people who don't know anything about streaming. Parents of people who watch streams and who want to understand what their why their 14-year-old son hates women now.
This blog post is only in circulation amongst streamers. If he thinks that parents are going to be reading this, I've got some bad news for him.
Reporters.
Have any reporters reached out to you about this?
No comment.
Fair enough. I guess that kind of leads into something I was thinking about when reading this. Like, are you familiar with Snowden and his whistleblower of the three-letter organizations that were allegedly collecting information on private citizens, et cetera, et cetera? How familiar are you with that?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Basically, Edward Snowden was a whistleblower.
Sorry, I know who Edward Snowden is. I just don't know. I don't know I imagine there's a depth of familiarity that one could have that I don't, but I can imagine you could go quite deep into it. So you could just ask the question and I'll tell you if there's something I need to know.
I was trying to kind of frame it a little bit for you, but fair enough. I guess I'll ask, do you consider yourself a whistleblower? And do you, if so, right, did you take any inspiration from other people who have blown the whistle, quote unquote, before? Did you take any lessons from them or anything like that?
Yeah, I consider myself a whistleblower. No, I don't think it's nearly
Hey, don't go calling Wick a leech. Or a vampire. He's a hobbit.
as I mean, I think comparing it to Snowden, I think would be a little grandiose, but I yeah, I think anybody's a whistleblower if you are part of a system, especially if you're complicit in that system, and then you think there's something. The whistleblower always to me implies that the person blowing the whistle is partly guilty of wrongdoing themselves.
Are you?
Um,
Do you consider yourself complicit in some of Destiny's alleged abuse that you lay out in the report?
yes.
How so?
Well, I mean, it's in there, but let's see, in chronological order, probably the first thing I did was not listen to Anna when she wanted to talk to me. And or wanted to stream with me. I didn't, and other people suggested I talk to her, and I just kind of ignored it. People said that she was a stalker. I believed them with no evidence. People told me Destiny would be very upset if I spoke to her. That didn't raise any red flags when normally it would and should. I did a mediation between the two of them, taking both of their stories at face value, which, given his power over her, was not fair or smart. I spoke harshly to and about not so erudite, leading to some dogpiling and harassment that she received as a direct result of my actions. I spoke to and about Brittany Simon harshly, which led to dogpiling and harassment as a direct result of my actions. There's probably more.
Sure, we don't have to go through like a list of all the sins, right? Like, I get it, but I was just curious if you felt yourself because you said that people in this space are entangled, and you mentioned complicity, and I wanted to know if you can identified yourself in that group, and so now I know. So fair enough, fair enough. Would you consider other people in your report to also be complicit in their own abuse? And what I mean by that, right, are do you think that some of the stories you mentioned run cover for Destiny or ran cover for Destiny in his abuse or alleged abuse of other people?
Can you be more specific about what you're asking me?
Sure. So I don't know if you saw White Nervosa's response to your manifesto. Did you?
No comment.
Fair enough. So in it, she claims that you misrepresented her story in order to get Anna to be more forthcoming for your manifesto. So do you consider that running cover for Destiny?
Would I consider what White Nervosa said as running cover for Destiny?
Yes, and in the response that she gave after your manifesto, she released it. It's very brief. It's very small.
I don't want to comment on.
Okay.
I think I don't want to comment on any reaction from anyone who I am calling a victim.
Okay, that's fair.
Going
But the reaction in this case is saying you were inaccurate. It actually behooves you to answer this one, Max.
into it, I wanted to set it up so that anybody can disavow without any reprisal or even comment from me. So if she doesn't like the document, she doesn't like what I wrote about her or anybody else, I totally, that's okay. I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay. There were a few others that also came out with statements, but if we don't want to go down this line of questioning, we don't want to go down this line of
I
questioning.
mean, you're welcome. We can do the congressional thing where you say it and then I say I have no comment.
Yeah,
That's
fair
fine,
enough,
but-
fair enough. The other person I saw that claims that you misconstrued wasn't mentioned as a victim in the report, but Aristocracy did mention that.
What does White Nervosa have to do with this? White Nervosa is mentioned in the article. Apparently, they've disavowed.
She feels that you took her out of context. I also know that Madam Genevieve, has also said that she was not pleased with your handling of the information that you gave her. Or that she gave you, I apologize. So that's fair, but we don't have to call it out, or not call it out, but to discuss it or go in depth if you don't want to. So let me ask you this then. Let's pivot a little bit.
Okay.
Do you think that Destiny is redeemable at this point in your eyes? Is there anything he can do, any action he can take in order to change course, to become better enough that you would consider him okay to listen to, watch, have on their shows?
Let's actually look over the White Nervosa section quickly. I don't think we actually went over this yet on stream. So, this is the Destiny report. White Nervosa. Here we go. Very short one. A small trans streamer whom Destiny flirted with while boosting her career. Oh, this is the, does this link down to it? That'd be useful if it does. Perfect. Okay, how long is this? Okay, not bad. Not too bad. White Nervosa, a small trans streamer, started talking to Destiny in November 2017 when she was 25 and he was 28. Did not appear on camera for her streams. Did not tell Destiny she was trans. When he asked her height, she told me she was 5'11". Were any of you guys... Actually, Max kind of... I actually don't know what White Nervosa's gender is. I'm going to go with they for now. December 2nd, Destiny asked for a picture of White Nervosa's tattoo. December 22nd, White Nervosa asked to be added to Destiny's auto host list on Twitch. I include this story to show that for whatever reason, Destiny's career assistance dropped off along with his sexual interest in White Nervosa. This is the story she told to Max. Destiny and I first exchanged DMs in November 2017. We then had this debate that was posted to his channel. 3 days later, I made him an overlay for his webcam. We DM'd daily from then until mid-Feb. We had one another's phone numbers. I'd sent him a picture of a tattoo on my upper arm. Started streaming during this time. Didn't have a cam set up. Destiny sent me 2,089 DMs until I had a webcam. From then to today, he sent me 13. The falling out with Cake and the ever-unmentioned Slugalisk happened in May of 2019. That drama I'd like to avoid discussing, as I've made statements toward those unnecessary and their opinions on me valid. As an apology, cannot change what happened. Is the implication that Destiny just discovered that they were trans and then just cut them out because they were transphobic and weren't sexually interested? That's an inference. That's a hell of an inference, actually. If I say there is 6 other people who had this similar experience, are you okay with me just counting you anonymously? This is a large separation between the accusations currently trying to be made, more so what Anavor was told to believe. This absolutely caused an increase in provocation towards her, which isn't a concern of Max. Max never asked when Destiny removed him from the auto host or why. He was told I was in the community until an unrelated purge, and that was told of a community rift. He did ask after the story if any of the DMs were sexual and was told no. Even if the DMs weren't sexual, his interest was sexual. A story has been written and then citations provided for it. For Anavor, I'm happy that her support network isn't as fickle. Not surprising as Max is a self-admitted rapist. That's true. Baseless crusades are a smokescreen towards societal shifts. As a publication, Femoid, that's Lav, has declined to comment and was attempted to contact March 10th. Odd sentence. Update, Mr. Girl has declined to comment. That's probably in response to this. So, I'm not really sure what happened exactly, but it seems like there's really nothing except an inference on Max's part that Destiny stopped interacting with White Nervosa once they got a camera set up, and I suppose they didn't find them sexually interesting, is what we're supposed to draw from this. I don't see anything in that information to actually hone in on that interpretation, and I think the only purpose of that would be to sort of demonstrate another node in a pattern of Destiny basically just interacting with people he wants to fuck, which I don't see any reason to think that, unfortunately. Although, you know what? Maybe Whick's got a shot. Who knows?
Etc.
Yeah, sure. I don't think anybody's irredeemable. I assume you're not asking me the likelihood of that happening. You're asking me.
No, I don't. Yeah, likelihood. I'm more asking what,
Sure.
if you know what specifically would have to change. For him.
There are things you can do, like if you like murder a little kid, that at that point it doesn't really matter like what you do after that. To me, where I'm just like I don't, you're at that point you're not someone whose content I would consume no matter what. Like emotional abuse and coercion and sexual misconduct and smearing and retaliation, doxing, threats, that kind of stuff. I don't think any of that's irredeemable now.
Fair enough. Do you think that Destiny is the worst actor in this space when it comes to those kinds of behaviors? So, like a good thesis statement, because on the technical side, one criticism I would have of the report is it's too dense. It's very hard to get through in a timely manner. But this is what I, in reading it,
Hey, Whick.
understood as your thesis statement, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Destiny abused people through capitalizing on unequal power dynamics and relationships. He engaged in retaliation for criticisms, and also sadistic attacks on his guests, orbiters, and other creators in order for content and spite. Would that be a fair recap of what you consider a thesis statement for your document?
I think you're leaving out the sexual misconduct.
Would that not be unequal power dynamics and relationships? Maybe.
I think I need the word sex in there somewhere for it to be.
Okay. Unequal power
thesis,
dynamics in sexual relationships. How about that?
Yeah, and combinations thereof. Retaliating is one thing. Unequal sexual relationships is another thing. Retaliating against people who you have unequal sexual relationships with is, I would say, probably worse than either one. Maybe even worse than the sum of the two.
But again, to the question, do you think Destiny is the worst in the space when it comes to these behaviors?
I don't think it matters.
Why not? Like, I guess what I mean by this, to clarify, right, is if there's a flood, it does no good to, put your finger in the dike, right, and to kind of like stop the
You did that on purpose. I don't fucking believe that was innocent.
little flow when behind you there's a river raging over its bounds and just destroying everything. Um, so I guess the reason I'm asking
But
you
if that wasn't on purpose, that was funny.
why, if you consider him one of the worst in the
I don't think that's a
spaces,
good. I don't think that's a good metaphor.
well, whatever metaphor
It's a
you.
meaningless question because the counter argument is this is the person who Max is close to and has to hand. The problem is I'm not seeing a whole lot in the way of like information in this article that he had unique access to. So the question would be, why spend so much time on it?
You'd like to use, right? My
No,
reason
no,
for
no, no, no. That metaphor is wrong.
explain, elaborate, please.
Well, if you put your finger in a dike, as you so unfortunately worded it, the water that is diverted by your finger will pass around your finger totally unimpeded. So it actually will make no difference if you do that. I think a better metaphor would be like if there were a bunch of zombies attacking a city and you shot 3 of them, but there were still 3 million attacking the city. So in one, you're still making a difference if you shoot three zombies, but it may not make much of a difference to anybody else. Maybe nobody will notice a difference. He still materially made a difference. Whereas with the dike analogy, it literally makes no difference. So I think,
Okay.
I don't think water is a good
Well, let's
analogy.
go with the zombie thing. Let's go with the zombie thing. So you have a bomb, a grenade, right, that you're gonna throw, and instead of throwing it into the horde, you've thrown it to the 3 standing over there, right? Like that. Yeah, you made a material
like
difference,
that.
but do you
I
think
don't
you could
think
have
this
made
is a good.
a more of a material difference if you chose a different target? That's what
Well,
I'm asking, right?
if everybody who has a computer with a word processor, in your analogy, has a grenade, where'd you throw yours?
Oh, I haven't thrown any grenades. I'm not a
Okay.
very good grenade
So,
thrower.
well, yeah. So my point is that it's just still. I just don't really understand the question or the criticism that I could have written something different or better or more impactful. That's literally probably true of everything anybody's ever written.
Sure, sure, I understand that.
Okay.
But I guess like the reason I ask is after you've done this, do you have someone else in mind that needs to be exposed? Who's next on the list of Mr. Girl?
I don't have a list.
Oh, that's fair. So no one. I guess I'm just asking what comes next for Mr. Girl, right? Like, you've done this. You've shot the missile, right? The arrow has flown the quiver. Okay. So what are you looking to do next? What in the aftermath? What does the aftermath look like?
Probably me emailing a bunch of reporters and stuff, reaching out to as many people as I can.
If I was somebody who hated Max, I'd be complaining that Whick is asking like really softball questions here. This is not a hard interview.
To try to get some wise eyes on this, maybe people who have influence and power, stuff like that.
If you could pick any reporter to cover this, any news organization or newspaper or journalistic institution to present this, if you lived in this ideal world where you could just pick and choose, who would you like to carry the banner forward on this article?
The Washington Post,
The Washington Post. Fair enough.
my favorite newspaper. Maybe the New York Times would probably be the more correct choice, though. But my personal choice would be the Washington Post.
Fair enough. Do you And just be honest with me here. Do you think they will?
I have no idea. I think that there's probably a market for stories like this. I don't know if this is the one that would connect to it. I don't know if there's a reporter who thinks it would connect or who would think it was newsworthy. But I think that there's sooner or later, I think eventually something like this will become. I think that all gas no brake stuff had some mainstream media traction.
Okay.
So
Um,
I do think there's a market for discussions of power dynamics with content creators that your kids watch and sexual misconduct in streamer world, and then I think there's other conversations about money and content creation and copyright and um, how that all shakes out, and just like where the
in context of the streamer world, to be clear, correct?
yeah, the like reaction videos using to dogpile people and using your own content against you. I think there's a lot of ethical and legal and moral issues that are really not settled.
With React streamers, to be. So can you give me an example of this?
Um, no,
No. Okay. Fair.
no.
One of the instances I've heard people bring up in regards to this, and just tell me if I'm on the wrong track here.
There's a discrepancy here. The reasons he gave for doing this in the beginning were so that parents and whatnot, other interested parties, could tell why people were being groomed into, I guess, far-right politics on the internet and into like misogyny and whatnot, which is, once again, an interesting source of this information. The article isn't about that. The article fixes on Destiny in particular for 90% of it. At the bottom, he flips into how he was targeted by Nick Fuentes' followers. Let me just watch the last couple seconds again and let me get his exact phrasing here.
No.
The streamer world, to be clear, correct?
Yeah, the like reaction videos using to dogpile people and using your own content against you. I think there's a lot of ethical and legal and moral issues that are really not settled.
With React streamers, to be. So can you give me an example of this?
No.
No. Okay. Fair.
No.
One of the instances I've heard people bring up in regards to this, and just tell me if I'm on the wrong track here. But things like using quote tweets to dunk on smaller Twitter users and to gain clout that way. Like take someone's take, you quote tweet it, they have like 20 followers, you have 20,000, and then just using them to farm content. Do you think that that's
Honestly, Max is so in control of this, very irresponsible of Whick, free speech warrior, to platform a creep in this fashion. I don't know if Max is in control of this conversation. I think Whick is giving the impression that Max is in control of the conversation. I don't think Max is in control of the conversation.
unethical?
Never trust nice, smiling people in media. That's all I'll say.
I think it depends on the. If they said that they were raped and you're doing it to call them a retard, then probably. But I think it depends on the context.
Okay, fair enough. And well, you already gave me an example of the context where you'd find it not unethical. Do you consider the people who have reacted to not just the report but the whole situation? Do you consider them complicit in your abuse? I'm talking people like, if I'm going to drop some names, people like Chud Logic, people like Cherry, people like Sick Unchained, various other streamers, both big and small, who have been very critical of your relationships in these spaces and just critical of your engagement. Do you consider them abusive too?
Yeah, I would call them complicit. I mean, the same way in a family, if the father's sexually abusing the kids, and I don't know, the oldest sibling knows about it but doesn't say anything, or the mother knows about it, doesn't say anything, the stepmother knows about it, doesn't say anything, or says, "Oh, it'll tear the family apart." You can be complicit and be a victim at the same time. I think that, like me, I don't. I think we're all somewhat complicit. Yeah.
Well, fair enough. I guess I'll ask this then. Is because you mentioned I was entangled, and I don't really do reaction. I really don't. But I am curious. In what ways do you think I've been complicit in your abuse? And it's fine. Like, just be honest. I can take it. It's okay.
You can take it, Max. It's a big boy.
You're asking me questions to try to set me up to appear unhinged, like a conspiracy theorist, crazy person. You're doing it right now.
Do you think that's...
No. You said no comment if any journalist picked it up, and you said you wanted like a general readership to look at this thing. Even if he is. Distinctly possible that he is. First of all, that's in his right, but secondly, he's working off of premises that you introduced to the conversation. What you could always do is just go, look, I'm not crazy. I know this isn't going to reach a general audience. I just wanted to get the ball rolling, so maybe somebody with more credibility might come across this, and somebody will take what I've dug up and will do something positive with it. Maybe. Leaving aside all of the other ethical issues with this thing. Maybe. I think going on the attack at this point, characterizing Whick as whatever, is undermotivated. Probably correct. Whick probably does have in his mind that this is going to be a profitable bit of content in which he clowns on Max and gets a lot of DGG credit as a result. Probably. In this particular case, it's hard to fault him.
Intentional.
But it also doesn't change like what Max has to do in order to succeed in the conversation.
That part.
Actually, yeah. I think your tone of voice is so good faith, bro. So intensely, thickly layering it on that I think it is very likely that you are intentionally trying to make me look insane right now. Yeah.
Well,
that's the impression I'm getting.
It won't help to say that I'm not, but the reason
No.
I am being very cautious with my tone is because I want to help make you feel as comfortable as you can. And one of the ways I signal that I'm trying to do that is through my tone.
I don't think signaling that you're trying to make someone comfortable is the same as making them comfortable.
I'm not very good at this, so it's very probably true.
Is that Diet Coke in the glass or Coke Zero? That's pond scum from my walk earlier.
So I guess
that's my answer to your question.
No, that's fine. Was there anything you wanted to include in the article that you just didn't get a chance to? Anything that you had to leave on the cutting room for, so to speak?
No. I mean, some petty things I thought about including that I decided not to. But no.
Just petty things. Okay, so I guess what was your bar here? What in your mind transcended something from just petty beef to something worthy of including in the article? Like, was there a?
Sorry, I want to go back to your previous question more specifically. Okay, so specific things you're doing to run interference for Destiny right now. Trying to bait me into comparing myself to Edward Snowden, and then I have to say, oh, that would be really grandiose if I did that, and I have to, like, that was a path that I could have gone down to seem insane. Asking me which newspaper would be featured, then I could have gone, that's another trap. so I said the Washington Post as a way to kind of giga chat and say, one of the biggest papers who exposes the most, but people who expose Trump should be talking about Destiny. And then you'd say, well, do you think that's likely? Because you're trying to lock me into having said something grandiose and insane. And then I avert that and say, well, you're not asking me what's likely. That's the dream. And then I said blah blah. And then I think there was another, asking me, trying to trap me into using the same word, abusive, that I'm using to describe Destiny directing someone, his audience, to Anna's Kiwi Farms thread while he's fucking sexting her. You want me to use the same word to describe just any 20,000 follower Twitter account dunking on any 200 or 20 follower Twitter account? That's of course running interference for Destiny if I fall into that trap. So I don't think that you are intentionally setting those traps. I think that's just sort of like an automatic. Oh, do you think Destiny is the worst person? Like what the fuck kind of question is that? I write a report about a system I was involved in, about the person that I was pretty close to in the system, and all the stuff that I witnessed, all the evidence I was able to gather through my relationships that I formed while in that system, kind of excoriating myself in the process, and some of the just making everybody just look kind of bad, but for the purpose of doing what I see as like an act of good to try to stop somebody from being abusive. And you're in the first fucking question you really ask me about the report is, do you think he's the worst person?
No. He asked if he's the worst person in the space, which is fair, and he's not.
Which is, again, is like, how the fuck do I know? I'm not in any other streamers community. I don't even like streaming.
Well, what are the
like
reasons?
I'm not. Wait, stop. I'm just saying, like, I don't have that kind of insider knowledge about all these other streamers. So it'd be insane for me to say he's the worst, and then you get, of course, you or whoever wants to then gets to come out with examples of it's like, oh, so he thinks Destiny doing this is worse than this other thing. I know how the Destiny sphere thinks. It is a constant, endless game of whataboutism and shifting frames and perspectives, and this zero-sum game that you can't call out Destiny for being abusive unless he's the most abusive. And then if you can find somebody who's more abusive or more dishonest, more of a liar, more threatening, more
So I
controlling,
am
more
not doing
retaliatory,
any of
then that's some. Oh, and I am not doing any of this. Again, that's just another. It's just more bullshit. So anyway, to answer your question from before of how do I think you're complicit, those are just some of the things that you've done in this short interview so far that I would say are traps, setups, and
Even if they were, though, these are softball questions that give you full range to take control of the conversation and press him with whatever you like from early on, which you should have done. And actually, Whick would be being irresponsible in that context because he would have allowed that to happen.
dishonest reframings of what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying is really straightforward. You haven't really asked any genuine questions about it that I don't think so far. What I'm saying is Destiny abuses his platform, and here's a list of the ways and times that he did it, and here's all the evidence. If you need to see relationships played out and established, here's all the evidence, and I've presented it to you. And
here's the thing, like, he's not wrong. Not categorically wrong anyways, like this kind of thing takes place. Whick definitely plays into that. But again, to that question of like, is Whick the worst example of this? Absolutely not. I don't know why bring it up at this point. You're either going to lead with it or not. There's no flow here. It's like an eruption.
yeah, it's long, but it's I don't know, it's covering 10 years of bad behavior.
This is and I am frustrated right now, and I want to talk to you about that because
Okay.
I do want to engage as good faith as possible. I'm really trying here to give my honest thoughts on this,
It's,
my
it's
honest read.
totally meaningless. Saying you're okay, all you're doing is throwing me under the bus when you say that. I know it's a
So
really common.
how could I? Can you demonstrate, please? How can I ask you these questions? Because I want to know the answers. I think there's substantive discussion to be had here.
Saying you're being good faith is not good faith. Saying you're being charitable to somebody is not charitable itself. All you're doing is defending yourself to the audience and saying that anybody who's annoyed with you and
What
saying
I'm
that your
doing
questions
right now is asking.
No, stop saying what you're doing. If you want me to think you're doing something, you have to do it. You can't tell me you're doing it. That doesn't make any sense.
What should I be asking that I'm not? What question should I be asking you right now about your manifesto, or about
It's
the
not a
report?
manifesto.
Sorry,
It's a
that apologies about the report that I
Yeah.
am not asking that you would like me to ask, that you think no one has asked, that you want to tell people and you haven't been able to do so yet. Can you give me a few of those?
If I were you, what would I ask?
If what do you wish people were asking you that they haven't asked you yet?
I don't know, because if there was something I wanted to be asked, I would just say it. I guess that still doesn't really get at my criticism of what I that's not what I just. It doesn't really make sense as a response to what I just said. You asked me if you're complicit. I listed all the ways that I think you're running interference for Destiny. Your response is to say, that's not true, that didn't happen. You didn't really engage with any
Well,
of the...
what I'm doing now is I will...
What you're doing now is interrupting me. You're not actually listening to what I'm saying. You're pulling these maneuvers that take a while. So the reason the report is 100,000 words, because it takes a while to explain these little sleights of hand. So again, it's fine if you don't want to respond to them. I just want to point out that you didn't respond. You have not really responded to my criticisms of your questions. Okay. Then
text is an involved medium. You have to focus and actually think and read for an extended period of time. What this should have been, what this thing should have been, is a video. This is a video script. Give the explication. Show the screen caps that you must have if you're able to prove this. Take a quarter of the time. Put some nice, chill background music in, like it's a Judge Judy, not just like it's a Nancy Grace expose or something, and that's how you do that. And you have an advantage here. Everybody now is talking about the evidence you provided. They aren't talking about the absence of evidence that you haven't provided. They aren't talking about how a solid 50% of this thing are transcripts of DMs that you could have just shown. Like why? Or transcripts of what we're not sure. Transcripts of YouTube videos, like interactions from Reddit. Sometimes it's not even announced where they're from. They would be talking about the evidence there, and it would be Destiny's problem to clarify all of these bits of these optically unseemly. I guess all unseemly things are optical, but you get the idea. These unflattering interactions that you've acquired. He'd be on the back foot. You could actually just wipe your hands and walk away at that point, and it would probably have a lot more traction. Instead, I have this gray background thing, like Bible length. Where it's the introduction. The introduction. Look at this. Who am I? I am famous because of my Cuties review, where I said that the twerking 11-year-olds in the film are hot. If you think parents are going to read this, even if it was published by a newspaper, like, no. No way in hell. You dream. I'm sorry.
What you did say in response was, that's not happening, Max. I'm just asking questions. That's not happening. I want to know the answers to the questions. I'm doing the best that I can to make you comfortable. And the implication is for no reason, for some wacky reason. You're just freaking out. I have no idea why. Anyway, and then it takes a while to explain that you did that.
This is a general problem with Max. Like, leaving aside my issues with him, that I front-loaded myself into all of my interactions with him so far, which I didn't want to have in the first place. He does not understand that there is not a virtue in dumping your baggage to the detriment of whatever cause you're championing. If he thought he had like a very strong case here, I don't think he has a very strong case here at all, but if he thought he had a very strong case here, the first order of business would be to find somebody else to convey the information, separated from him. Don't make this the report by the person who's famous for saying the kids and cuties are hot. Thank you, Vincent Breslin, for the $10. I've not been a fan of you, but sir, so far your unbiased take on something like this is showing me another side of you. Outstanding so far. Well, thank you. I actually do try most of the time for that, but thank you. Apparently Max wants to potentially go over the rest of the Whick conversation with me, so that'll be... We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes.
I think
Thought the sound was off for a second. I just went silent.
that I understand why.
Oh yeah, then your question is what? Well, so what would you want
Well,
me to ask?
if I can
That's
respond
not
to
a
that
wait.
first.
That's not a asking me
If
what I
I
would
can
want you to.
respond to that first before we go on to
I
other
don't want.
criticisms.
I don't want you to do that. Asking no, because
I
there's too,
understand
just
you
too,
don't want
there's just
to.
too many maneuvers. I just can't take it.
I'm not
your
maneuvering.
your response
I'm
is
being
to.
as- like,
I'm not
look,
maneuvering.
I understand that this has happened to you a lot. I understand that people have treated
I'm
you
not
this way.
maneuvering.
I get it.
I'm not maneuvering. I get it. I'm not maneuvering. I'm just asking questions. I'm not maneuvering.
This is how conversations
Stop
work.
saying what you're doing. It doesn't mean anything. It's a maneuver to say you're not maneuvering. Okay, anyway, so then after I listed the things that I thought were like bullshit questions that were traps, your response is not to engage with the criticism that they're traps. Your response is to say, "Okay, fine. What
When
would
I
you
engage
then what do
with
you
the
want me to then
criticism,
what
you
would
say
you
I'm
want me to ask?"
maneuvering.
But that's a nonsensical reaction. That doesn't make any sense.
When I responded to your criticisms, you called it maneuvering. So because you didn't like that and it wasn't
No,
working,
you didn't
I have,
respond. It's not.
I have
It's not.
shifted direction.
It's not because you responded. It's because you were maneuvering. I think you're being manipulative. That's why I said that. Not because you responded. You didn't respond. Anyway, it just feels like another zero-sum game question where is there a person who's more abusive than Destiny? Is there somebody else? Who's next on your list? Those all seem very similar to the question of what should I have asked? It doesn't feel like a substantive engagement with the criticisms.
Well, if the reason
But
I
it's-
asked originally, and let me please give me a chance to explain, right? The reason I asked about this Destiny, why Destiny in particular, the reason I
can't-
asked was because I see that these behaviors that you outlined are not uncommon in this space, right?
Yeah, I know why you asked.
I don't think you do.
Okay, let's pretend that I'm a rape victim.
Here's the part he's missing. They're not just uncommon. They're not just common in this space. They're common in this space amongst viewers. I once again, I don't know who this is appealing to. He's inoculated most respectable society from taking this seriously just by front-loading the stuff with the cuties review and whatever. It's too long. Most people aren't going to bother. It's on his Substack. Most people are never going to find it. It doesn't include the evidence. He has the evidence, supposedly. He sent me a couple of things. We went over that last night. The stream's gone for other reasons. But he has the evidence. But he didn't include it. Which means that even if you've gone through all of the effort to find the thing, read the thing through, consider it carefully, we're still in the middle of the desert because there's no proof. And who's going to go back and read it a second time? I said this last night, like if anything it would have been a million times better to just have the evidence compiled. No commentary. Just pile it in. It's all there. Make a big hodgepodge for other small streamers to pick up and sift through. People are motivated to do that. That's a thing you could do. If you wanted people to actually scrutinize Destiny very carefully, if you thought there was actual abuse going on, that's what you should do. He's attached this to his name, though, which introduces two vulnerabilities. First, his previous reputation. Well, three vulnerabilities, actually. Secondly, his capacity to maintain himself in conversations going forward. He has to continuously not appear crazy. And not appear whatever in interactions ongoing after the initial launch. And he's also he's also now vulnerable to criticisms for unethically acquiring the information. Whereas if it was just in a dump, just here it's all there, people wouldn't care enough. It's because it's attached to his persona that questions about, like, hey, so you had this interaction with Melina. Did Melina give you consent to publish this interaction? I didn't see any indication in the article. I'll have to double check. But, like, if she didn't, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. That makes me wonder about, like, steps you might have been willing to skip, right? If the information was just there, literally just the raw data, a lot of it looks really bad by itself. That's now Destiny's problem to sort out, if he so chooses. If he decides to absorb the shot, which he will with this anyways, so be it. But if you actually wanted to get him on something, if you wanted heavier scrutiny, that's what you had to do. You had to separate it from yourself. You're not... This is a he who is without sin cast the first stone kind of moment. Oh, he's probably waiting to come on. Rumble may be having some issues. Okay. That gives me time to go to the washroom. I'll be right back. In the meantime, ad break. see what's happening. Rumble's still having issues by the look of it, so I guess we'll just continue.
Okay.
I'll
I'm a
engage
rape
with it.
victim in a larger creator.
That was a good line to
Got me
enter on.
drunk, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was raping me. And I make this essay about how I got raped. And you're going to interview me about the essay. The first thing you ask me is, do you think there's quite a lot of rapes happening in the streaming world, aren't there? And I'm like, well, I guess so. And you're like, well, you wrote about just one rape, yours. Don't you think that it might have made a bigger difference if you had thrown your grenade into like a horde of rapes? Why
What?
are you writing about why are you writing about this rape?
So I don't think this is a good metaphor.
Hold
And I'll
on. I want to
explain
go through
why.
I want to go through some of your other questions. Do you think that this is the worst rape that has ever occurred, Max? I can think of a lot worse rape. I've heard of a lot worse rape. Rape
You
is
are
very common.
misrepresenting my questions, sir.
You just said that this behavior is very common. So
When we talk about maneuvers, right? Are you familiar with psychological projection? That concept.
Whick.
That was funny.
I have already decided that I'm never going to talk to you publicly again, but I will finish this stream. But if you don't let me finish what I'm saying, I'm going to leave.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. If you transposed all of your questions, the questions of, do you think there's a worse person who did X? Oh, this behavior is very common. So how does that affect your the legitimacy of your presentation of it? Who's the next person you're going to accuse? All of these questions in that context would be transparently fucking disgusting. And now I agree that Destiny's abuse of me is not as serious as rape, and it's harder to explain emotional abuse and psychological abuse, and these power dynamics are complex, and it takes a while to explain what happened. But given that I am coming forward as a victim, I do think that the zero-sum game sleights of hand are...
Wick is being a two-faced dick. I mean, he is, and he typically is. However, it doesn't matter. Max has enough to work with here. Like, this shouldn't be... He's fudging this hard. Like, it'd be more of an issue if he was acting in the capacity of a moderator in this conversation. But because it's just a one-on-one, he's giving him so much leeway to reframe the conversation however he wants. I mean... And the questions are so softball. Like, every question he's asked is an opportunity to take what he's touching upon and then spin it to your favor. Like, he's being about as softball here as Stardust was with Richard Spencer. Horrifically.
quite slimy. I don't like it.
Fair. I do not think it is a zero-sum game. I do not think that your analogy is fair. Yes, when you put questions into an entirely different context, it will change how.
3x3 Nihilo says, it seems important to some people that Max's report be about some sort of mystery predators that they say exist but do not name. Odd counter-argument. I'm not entirely certain what you're referring to. If you want to clarify, that'd be great, but thank you for the $5.
People feel about that questions and the appropriateness of the questions. Obviously, if you were a victim of rape or abuse in this, I would not be sitting you down questioning about that. But this is not what this is. We're talking about the Destiny report, which was an article that you wrote, which outlined what the person you were accusing of doing all this did to other people, not just you. There are many other people that you outlined. The DDoS kid, right? You talked about Mia. You talked about Denims. You talked about Anna. You talked about White Nervosa. You talked about Vosh. You listed quite a few.
The Vosh
right?
inclusion was odd.
And given the fact that we want, and I hope you want this too, not just to stop if Destiny's doing it, not just to stop Destiny, but to stop everyone who does this, I think it's perfectly fair and perfectly valid to extend the conversation in a wider lens, right? To talk about this problem
my
in a
problem is not
wider
that-
context. Is that not?
Okay, again, let's go back to the rape analogy. If I told you I was raped by a content creator, you could extend that conversation to the wider lens and
And
say,
yes, and you should.
wait, let me finish my response. You could extend that conversation to the wider lens by saying something like, another thing that's really horrible.
All right, looks like it's time. Full bore into the abyss, dear friends. I think I mixed that up with a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. Once more into the breach, dear friends.
Oh my God, neither of us are starting our virtual cams.
Let me
There we go.
let me try and get you on here.
Okay.
I think it's this one. There we are. Here, let me trim this a little bit. Can you like zoom me in on your end? Would that be easier for you?
Yeah. Yeah. You can just use your source. Yeah, you're good. I got it.
Okay. Yeah, as you can see by me like whittling away at the edges of the border here, I have no idea what I'm doing, so just bear with me a sec.
Wait.
Yeah, that'll do. Alright. Alright.
Wait a second.
I guess we can just center this, probably make more sense.
Oh, I just like didn't pop it out. Okay. Okay. Getting somewhere.
You're on a stream, just a heads up.
So are you.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. I was actually just making some N-word jokes.
So, how about that Whick conversation? How do you think that went?
Did you finish the whole thing?
No, we got about halfway through, but I think I'm getting the gist of it so far. We're at about 51 minutes and 44 seconds.
I don't think it went very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably a reasonable assessment.
Yeah, it's kind of I kind of talked about this in the report. But it's this thing where, oh, somebody said there's like a specific name for this. Maybe you know what it is. Where when somebody does something sneaky or tells a lie or implies something or does some maneuver in a conversation, it takes 10 times as long to acknowledge or explain what they did as it did for them to do it. And then if they just keep doing it, then you're just, and I kind of like turned it into a joke by the end, but you're just like endlessly explaining what's happening, and then you look crazy.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I understand why you would anticipate that from Whick, and I, frankly, would anticipate that from Whick. But judging from what I saw in that conversation, I think you might have been a little bit spooked, because it seemed like you jumped on it early.
No. Well, maybe I jumped on it.
It seemed as though you jumped on it early. Maybe in your judgment you didn't, but it seemed as though it did.
No way.
I
Absolutely not.
I think so. I think he was fishing for, early on, like you mentioned, you wanted this to be picked up by a general audience. He asked you,
Yeah.
are there reporters talking to you about this? You said no comment. That creates interest. You didn't say no, you said no comment. And then he asked later, like, what newspapers would you like to pick this up, maybe, or something like that. I can't remember the exact wording. Something to that effect. And you answered. And then afterwards you complained that this was trying to make you seem like you were a grandiose egomaniac who thought that, like, the New York Times...
No, not that he asked me what newspapers. That he asked me if it was realistic.
I mean,
No, so
Fair
sorry.
enough.
Not even that he asked me those two in succession.
Sure.
That he acted like me answering. He was like, what would your ideal paper be to write a story about
Yeah.
Destiny and streamer dynamics? If I say
Yeah.
the Washington Post and he says, do you think that's realistic?
Yeah, it's a little condescending, but you could just kind of laugh it
Yeah.
off and reply in kind, or you can just say, no, of course not. That's silly.
Well, I thought we were discussing whether. Okay, you think I jumped on it early,
I think your mistake was that you went into a conversation with someone who you
but
knew.
telling me I jumped on it early is not the same as.
I agree. Just hang on a sec. I think you went into a conversation with someone who
Oh my
you
God.
anticipated was going to be bad.
No, I
faith.
didn't. I actually didn't anticipate it at all.
Really?
I don't really know Wick. I don't really have an opinion of him. I mean, I do now, but I didn't at the time. People were warning me about it. I just didn't really have a. I was like, I don't know. He seems nice to me, and then they were like, he's not nice. But I didn't. I really didn't have a.
I see.
Anyway, you think I jumped on it early? That's
I
fine.
think you jumped on it early. I think the appearance
Okay.
was. Yeah, I think you seemed too defensive too early. I think maybe your perception of that was a little bit warped by circumstance, lack of sleep. I have no idea, but I think that was too early.
Well, I think you're fucking completely wrong.
No, I think your judgment was probably correct. I think it's absolutely in his interest to make you look crazy, but I think in the context of the conversation, I think the response jumped the gun in a big way. I think you need to play ball a little bit longer if you were going to have the conversation at all.
Well, I can't. Oh, okay. Are you're talking strategy.
I am talking strategy, yeah.
You're not so much talking truth.
We'll talk about truth in a second. That gets a little bit
Yeah.
dicier. But yes, I'm talking strategy because let's take for argument's sake, your article is completely true, and the worst possible interpretation of it is as absolutely true and verified, and objectively, as someone who is no friend of Stephen, I have to say I haven't gone through it. Like the lack of evidence is a big thing. I'm familiar with this through osmosis, a lot of the stuff. So like it seems vaguely familiar enough that I'm like, okay, he probably has something there, which is why I asked for this.
I don't think there's been any contention as to the veracity of the evidence from his camp.
It depends on who you count as in his camp. But I mean, we do have a couple of people already. White Nervosa was brought up. You don't want to comment on that, apparently, which is fine.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
there are challenges to the veracity of some of the subject matter here.
Okay, but nobody said that any of the conversations didn't take place, or that the screenshots, or that the DMs or transcripts are not accurate. I don't think anybody said that.
As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen.
Okay. I haven't seen.
Yeah,
it
so
either.
I'm willing to take your word for that. That's not what particularly interests me here.
Okay,
If
well,
that's
what
if
does
that's the
interest you?
case, people who are obsessed with this kind of thing, they'll pick that out and they'll find it, and that will sort itself out. What does interest me? We're going back to strategy again here, but this sort of dovetails with the truth part in a way. So I'm going to ask you the question Whick did, but a bit more bluntly. Given the end product here.
That sounds nice.
Given the end product here.
Yeah.
What the fuck was the point?
Of what? Writing it?
No. I understand like why you would want to write an expose of somebody if you have like a special vantage point and you see them doing something deeply unethical, whatever. I'm taking your word that your intentions in that respect at least were honorable by themselves.
Okay.
But you've written something that's a combination of impenetrable. It's tainted by your prior relationships and reputation right out the gate. You even reiterate this at the beginning of the thing. It doesn't hang. I'm very, very close to done. Don't worry, I'm not going to ramble for very long. It lacks sources, which is critical. Like for me, if I was doing this, I would publish the sources long in advance of writing the article if I was going to go this route. But it lacks sources, so right out the bat, you've lost 50% of the people at least who are even bothering to read through the whole thing because they don't have sources to verify it. And then finally, like the length, once again, if this was intended for a general readership, like what I'm looking at here is a stellar like video script where all of like the transcripts of exchanges and all of the evidence is portrayed on the screen, so you don't have to reiterate it through the same medium as the exposition. And that would reach a wide audience, and you wouldn't be arguing with people about evidence. They would be arguing about the evidence, and you could keep your hands clean because you've already presented it. It would be easily passively absorbed. There would be a reason for like even like lazy streamers of a large size to actually pour through it. I just don't understand. As is, I'm talking specifically about the product before me. I don't know what you were thinking, bluntly.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, help me out here. Like there was a thought process. There were things that led to you making certain decisions. You spent a long time on this. I don't know how much was spent on the text block here specifically, but you sought out information for a very long period of time. A lot was made of this. It cost you dearly.
It did.
Why this form? I don't. If there was like a specific purpose, or if it was an accident, or it was a slip, or whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't think you're really necessarily blameworthy for any of those. But how did we get this? That's what I'm interested in first of all. This particular thing. I have the thing on my screen. You can't see it on the screen, so but you know what I'm looking at. But
I don't want to defend myself.
I'm not asking you to. This is like an anthropological question. I actually am genuinely curious. Like, what led to this product?
It feels a little loaded for a strictly anthropological question.
Okay, how about help me out? How can I unload it for you?
Well, imagine somebody wrote a book, and then somebody was interviewing them about the book or discussing the book with them, and the first thing they said was, "What the fuck were you thinking? Was this an accident or was it a slip?"
That's not an analogy. That's what we're doing.
Oh,
100,000 words, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't.
This is the book of Maximilian.
If you don't think that's loaded, then I'm going to take your advice.
Okay.
That you just gave me about Whick, and I'm going to be very patient with you.
Okay.
And say, Sunday, do you really not think that's loaded? And if you disagree, if you say no, I'm just asking questions. I'm just a good faith I'm just an anthropologist asking good faith questions.
Fair enough.
Then I'm gonna say, okay, that's okay. I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
That's a reasonable question, and the reason why I'm asking is because the downsides that I've listed, if they weren't apparent to you, or if for whatever reason they didn't matter, what I'm curious about is either were they not apparent to you, or did you have some particular reason against those? I'm just curious.
I don't want to defend myself.
No, you don't have to defend yourself. It's just a practical...
I don't want to even answer your question.
Fair
I
enough.
don't want to answer.
All right. My hands are tied. Okay. Well, let's try and steelman this then. Are you game for that?
No, I don't really want to talk about the form. I don't want to talk strategy.
Not the form. I'm actually talking about content now.
Okay. Content, then yeah. I do want to talk about the content of it. That's why I'm here. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there are a lot of examples. It's very long. If you had to carve out all but
That's not content. That's form. Continue.
No. Okay. If you had to carve out all but two of the examples here, like the two strongest ones, if you want to necessarily include more or less, you can make that adjustment. But pick out the strongest ones. Which ones would you pick as like to stake your reputation on?
Strongest examples?
The strongest cases. Like for me, just to put my cards on the table, I think one of the...
I can't answer that.
Okay, well, maybe I'll help you out. I think for me, I think the strongest case you have here, not in this format, which is why I bring this up, which is one of the reasons why it's frustrating to me. And this is, again, pursuant to the...
Wait, you're still talking about... You said you weren't going to talk about the format.
I'm not talking about the form. I'm not talking... No, I'm talking about a specific example.
Look.
Destiny... No, the DDoS kid one.
I don't want your criticisms.
I'm not criticizing you.
Wait. Can I say something? Even if you don't think it's true, can I finish the sentence?
No. Yes, of course you can. Go for it.
Okay. I don't want to hear your criticisms of my interviews or of the form or writing style
Okay.
of this document.
Fair enough.
Particularly, I don't want to. If you have
Content.
advice, like
Content.
maybe,
Content.
yeah, I want to talk about content. I just don't really care about, especially if it's something I can't do anything about. Then I super don't. I don't, I don't,
I don't know if that's true.
I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't know if that is true.
Okay,
There's
that's
nothing you can
fine.
do about it.
Okay, either way,
But
I don't want this to be a strategy session
it's not a strategy
where
session.
where
It's not
okay,
a strategy session.
I don't, because a lot of our conversations since I started, a lot of our interactions,
Yes.
I've felt like you telling me that there's a better way to do it. It's just your backseat driving a little bit. I understand that if you had done this, you would have done it differently, but you didn't fucking do it. I did it. So I don't want to talk about what you think I should have done or even what you think I should do. I am interested in talking about the content of the article, though.
Okay, but I am asking you just so we like have an order of like approach. Okay. The strongest cases. Which ones do you actually like? Which ones
I'm
matter
not
to
gonna.
you
I
more
can't
than
do
the
that.
other ones?
I can't. It's too personal for me. I can't
Do you mind if I pick some out then as like the ones that seem the
Yeah,
strongest?
yeah.
to me?
You can say what you
Okay.
think, but I don't. But I don't know why. What's the point? Like we can just talk about all of them. There's only 15.
15 spread out over 100,000 words.
Well, it doesn't take 100,000 words to. So
That's
I understand.
my point.
Yes, you're talking about form and format, and I
Fine.
don't want to talk.
Okay.
I don't want
Okay.
to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Do you agree to at least try to stop talking about it?
I will try my hardest. You'll have to be patient with me though. I am
I'm
a
try-
terminal
I'm fine.
strategist. Okay.
I'm being super charitable and incredibly patient with you.
DDoS kid.
Yeah.
Okay. In your judgment, is this actionable? By law. What you presented. Does this represent
law?
something? Does this represent something that could get him into actual legal trouble in present day?
I am not a legal expert, but from what I read, he would have had to communicate his plan to. Well, first of all, we have to. Are we assuming that what Destiny said is true? That he
Yes.
actually did plan to kill this kid?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't. Because he could just say. I was just
Look,
saying that.
he's defended the ethics of it later on. I'm perfectly willing to,
Okay,
regardless of it, like what level.
I want to
of
give a
analysis-
really. I want to give a really complete answer to your question.
begin,
so-
please.
Okay. Let's assume. Well, I wouldn't assume that it's true that he threatened to kill this kid, but he did say, or that he planned to, but he said he did. So I'm fine, like journalistically assuming that's true, but I think the bar for, like, putting someone in jail or prosecuting somebody for something is probably, or convicting somebody of a crime is higher. So I would probably need to see more evidence that he actually did plan to kill the DDoS kid. Then, for it to be a crime, my understanding that planning to kill somebody on your own isn't a crime. It's only a crime once you involve other people in the crime. Then it's conspiracy to commit murder, which is a serious crime. But also from what I've read, a good defense of that crime is that you changed your mind. So, from what I see, I mean, given the length of time it's been, he may have committed a crime at the time. But I think it's one of those weird crimes where retroactively you can say, like, it wasn't a real plan because I didn't do it. It's been 12 years and nothing happened. So I would say it's not legally actionable right now, no.
Okay, so from the vantage point of, well, taking the article as a whole, what is the purpose of the inclusion of this section in particular on the DDoS kid? What does this establish for you?
A couple things. One, it establishes that in Destiny and Destiny's community's moral worldview, disrupting Destiny's ability to stream is punishable by death. They will say, imagine you were getting your tires slashed every day. That's the metaphor that Destiny always brings out, or analogy. But I think that's a little disingenuous. I think it's more a Destiny-centric view of morality, where his personal enemies are people who get personally in the way of his content creation are disposable.
Okay, now the retort to that is given is that it may only seem on paper like you're getting your tires slashed. It's like, who cares about tires? Tires aren't worth a human life. But the retort to that is that this is impeding his ability to secure an income, which actually does seriously threaten, at the very least, his way of life at present. And it appears as though the law was not actually willing to assist him in getting any kind of reparation on this. How do you reply to that?
You can't defend your way of life with lethal force.
Of course you can. If you went to the
Well-
police, like, wouldn't that be specifically invoking armed men with guns in order to secure the return of his internet access?
Calling the police on someone is not the same as using lethal force.
All right. So we'll set this as the function of this is to demonstrate that.
Well, that's just one. That's one function. There's
Okay.
more, but
Okay. Well, we'll just as one function then as a key one, and you can outline the next one after, or the next ones after.
Okay.
The function of this is to demonstrate that if Destiny's stream of income is impacted in let's say a serious way, to be generous, then there is no upward limit on the fate he can imagine you would merit for that. So does that work?
yeah.
All right. What's the second point?
The second point is that it's a little the details on how he got the kid's address by the end of the stream are fuzzy. I don't exactly know, but my understanding is that his chat was working to figure out his details, probably from maybe his Skype email address had his last name. He mentions his Skype email address during
Sure.
the call. So it shows that Destiny's community is weaponized.
Okay, but once again, like in this particular context, as someone like, and I've said this before, like I find the statement itself bad for additional reasons. Like, once again, pursuant to what you just said a moment ago, that statement by itself stands as threatening to me, regardless of his actual intentions or whether that was serious. It seems like, in this context, the kid would have had to have had his own information as well, right? Like he would have had to know more or less where Destiny was, how to disrupt his service, and in order for Destiny to have any kind of to correct the situation, you would actually need to know who this person was and where to a certain extent. I don't know about the whole like sending the kid pictures of his sister thing and taunting them. That crosses the line for me. But in terms of the finding thing, I don't know for myself, and you can argue against this perception. In fact, that's kind of why I'm asking. I don't know for myself if I would consider his community finding out that information in that context of him being directly attacked. I don't know if I would characterize that as a weaponization of an audience per se. What do you think?
I don't think it's unjustified to try to figure out who is disrupting your internet connection, but I would still call it weaponization.
Okay. Yeah, and
So the idea is not that they are doing something bad in the moment where they're trying to figure out who is DDoSing him. It's more that they are just doing something at all. They're not just watching. They do things on his behalf.
yeah, but that's true for any audience, no? Like, I'll ask for sources midstream, someone will provide them. I'm sure if somebody is talking about you, somebody will provide you with screenshots or links to you during a stream or off stream. That's a thing we all do.
To varying degrees.
Yeah.
Have you ever tracked down someone's address on stream with your audience?
No.
Me neither.
No. But I also haven't been, like, attacked at my home either, to be fair, so...
I wouldn't call DDoS attacked in his home.
It kind of is, though. If his primary income is streaming and his means of that is being directly impinged by the DDoS attack, that's the thing that puts food in your mouth and allows you to pay for your dwelling. that's you, right? That's a part of
I'm just
you.
not. I would never use the word attacked in his home. That my friend was attacked in his home. Oh my God, what happened? A 17-year-old DDoSed him. No, I wouldn't use. I just wouldn't use that phrasing.
All right. Okay. So
Wait. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk. I don't think I want to talk about this. You're still.
oh,
All the questions you're asking me are still my justification. Like, if you want to ask me what I think about Destiny in this event, I can tell you. But I don't. And I'm happy to hear what you think. But it feels again like you're saying, what is your justification for including this in the
okay,
report?
sure, but there's a pointed reason for that, okay? I don't
Maybe so.
I do not care about Destiny at all, except
Okay.
insofar as he is engaging in actively harmful stuff. So,
Yes.
for example, I gave you warm words of approval for you holding his feet to the fire over the platform with Nick Fuentes. This seems to have caused it to slip your memory that I was, prior to that, arguing against Destiny platforming you on similar grounds, but that's neither here nor there.
Wait, how does that slip my memory?
I don't know. You seem people have
People or me?
communicated to me that you seem to be under the impression that we're friends. I'm a little bit perplexed.
I think we're friendly. I don't think we're friends.
I think I treat you okay. I don't know if we're friendly. It seems to me like we're very much politically and socially opposed.
How are we politically opposed?
No, on several grounds. I think you have an attitude that erases an entire community of people that
Trans people?
that I am
Okay.
very dedicated to advocating for.
Okay.
We have radically different views on the police. That was sort of brought out earlier. For some reason, you think that the police are an entirely benign means of resolving conflicts that does not involve lethal force, despite the fact that police are basically...
I didn't say they don't involve lethal force. I just said that calling the police on someone is no more using lethal force as DDoSing somebody as attacking somebody in their home. I just don't think that you're talking about these things. I just think you're...
Well, no, but if the police are like lethal force, though, they're men with guns. That's what they're for.
I understand that the police have guns.
No,
But
but
calling
the police
is not using lethal force. I used lethal force on my friend the other day. Oh, what happened? I called the police on him.
that happens
No,
sometimes.
That's not how people talk, dude. That's not what That's not what lethal.
No.
I used lethal
but
force
that's
means.
it's an equivalent. It's functionally the same thing. It's the deployment of an organization that's defined by lethal force.
Okay.
It's the deployment of the state's monopoly on legitimate force, if you like.
You want to show people that we're not friendly.
No, I've shown people that we're not friendly. I'm perfectly happy
Okay,
to talk
great.
to you like
So
decently.
it has slipped my and other people's mind that you do not like me. You disavow me. Okay, got it.
The reason why I'm asking questions that dive very swiftly into the formal is because there's a tension when I'm reading this between a lot of the stuff that you're talking about here actually seeming pretty bad. The Anna stuff in particular, whether or not this is like a common occurrence in the streaming world or amongst streaming audiences or just generally, it seems pretty bad and irresponsible. I think you do a good job of showing that by Steven's own lights.
I don't give a fuck what you think if I did a good job or not. I don't care.
Then
I
don't.
want to know what you think of the content.
But I'm getting there. I was
Okay.
prefacing like a further statement about the content.
Okay.
I think you did a good job demonstrating that by Steven's own lights, this was an irresponsible thing to do, because you had that earlier quote that you brought up.
Right.
Yeah. The reason though why we
Thank
run
you.
into a formal question then
Okay.
is twofold. First of all, because the form undermines the delivery of the argument, in that it makes it impossible for most people to get access to it.
I don't want to talk about your criticisms of the format of the report ever again.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
And you said you would try to stop talking about
I'm
it.
trying really hard. So the second one doesn't. Okay?
Okay.
So the second one is that because it is by you, and this isn't a format question, this is a framing question. Because it is by
Jesus
because it is
fucking
by
Christ.
you, because it is by you, you immediately fall afoul of questions about like, okay, did you have permission to publish X, Y, and Z? If you did you acquire that permission in an ethical way? Did you acquire the things in an unethical way if you didn't acquire permission? And then, of course, all the stuff about you in particular. Once again, like, for some reason, you prefaced this all with, like, I'm famous for the cuties thing, which I don't know why you would do that. But the issue I'm running into here is,
Sonny.
you've made it so that the arguments that you're giving, even if they're good, are easily dismissed, which means that if anybody brings this up in future, they now have to contend with being characterized as another Mr. Girl. Like, some of this stuff actually...
But you don't. You don't.
I don't what?
You don't have to worry about that.
But I do, actually. I at present
You're
deal with comments
you're
like that, actually.
Well, tell people, make it, get some dunks. Show the people that I wrote this thing badly, that I'm irresponsible, unethical, abusive. Tell everybody how not aligned and not friendly
Okay, but
we
here's
are.
here's the thing. I do,
And then you won't have to worry about it anymore.
no, I don't care about that because I've come
Oh.
to expect this from everybody involved.
Okay, great.
This is
So
not
then
surprising
We're
to me.
above. We're above that. Okay.
Exactly. We are gods. But
Okay.
nonetheless, we're still in a situation where this entire thing has been construed very effectively as an unethical hit piece that doesn't bear the weight of scrutiny. And the problem with it being attached to your persona, it being authored by you, is that now people can dismiss the content which doesn't belong to you. Like, a lot of this is like are records that you dug up that were in public circulation already. In fact, I think the vast majority of it is, with a few exceptions. Now, when people see you performing badly on subsequent interviews, which you now have to do because you didn't include the evidence in the article, all of that now gets swept under the rug. If there was something here that was actually really bad, that actually needed address, what you've done is provided the perfect cover for it. That's why
I've defended Destiny.
What?
You're saying I've defended Destiny ultimately.
Yeah, I think you've done him a massive service. You know, there's a huge buffer now between him and all this stuff that was floating kind of raw. It wasn't uncommon to find like Reddit posts, for example, that'd be like, hey, I don't know about this thing about the DDoS kid. I never saw this before. This is a little weird. This is showing me a different side of him. Da-da-da. That would happen every so often. Now this is all contextualized in a nice little package. Anytime somebody brings it up, somebody else is going to say, this is just the Mr. Girl shit. Just whatever. You see what I'm saying?
When you say see, do you mean understand or agree with?
Let's go with both, and you can pick if you want to disagree with one.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I still think it's the thing I said I don't really want to talk about, which is your opinion of me or the writing of the article. I understand now. I get it now.
Okay.
You're confronting me to tell me that you think that I have bungled this and inadvertently provided cover to Destiny.
I warned you about this months ago, that if you didn't do this really well, and you weren't really careful, you would bungle this, and you would give cover to Destiny.
You did say that.
This is not a new thing.
I'm not accusing you of saying a new thing.
Okay.
Rest assured, I have a super chat that says, you have been baited into a political argument, and he is now using you to sell anarchism. He is an enemy to both you and Destiny. He doesn't care about DDoS Boy, Anna, or anyone, just the opportunity to sell his political project. Is that true?
It is indeed. Let us begin. Sorry. I really should have had something planned for that eventuality, but I don't know how I would predict it. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on from form. We've got that down.
Well, we moved on from it a while ago.
Well, that's what you thought, but it was all a cruel ploy. It was a trap, as you say. No, fair enough. I've got a couple of questions about the acquisition of some information. Just as a quick aside, you were soliciting interviews for the better part of the last year. Did any of those come come to fruition?
I can't answer any of the questions you're about to ask me.
Are any of them represented in the article?
I can't answer that.
Can I ask why?
Because the answering can only benefit me and harm sources.
Well, not necessarily. You can speak in the abstract. Don't say where the sources apply. Just I'm asking if have any interviews resulted in stuff that made it to the article.
I can't answer that.
Did any interviews actually happen?
Yes.
Okay.
I've discussed some on the record interviews already, so we know that interviews happen.
Okay. So, do you have any? I didn't see any evidence of interviews in this article. From what I saw. I saw DMs.
I assume that from the questions you're asking.
I saw DMs. I saw Reddit posts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fine. You're not obligated to include interviews. But it's odd because it feels like.
I don't want to talk about whether you think something I did. I don't really want to talk about the form of the article. I want to talk about the content.
Okay.
But I don't think you really have anything to say about it. Am I correct in that?
Well, I'm still waiting on evidence, Max, for most of it. I do have a question about the content here, though. This came up when I was reading it on stream. The Melina section.
Okay.
Okay. So you preface this, quote, in February 2019 when Destiny was 30, it might have been in the Bob's 7 section. Where's the part where it talks about you talking to Melina?
I don't know. What are you talking about? At the end of the Bob section?
Is it at the end of the Bob section? I would assume...
When I said that Melina said many of the same things to me that she said to Bob?
There's a point where I believe you say she visits you, or she contacts you, and you...
Melina's never visited me.
Okay.
I'm tired of defending myself, Pretty Tony. That's why I'm leaving. That's why I'm leaving the Destiny sphere. That's why I don't like this conversation.
All right. So
I'm tired of defending myself.
So did you get permission from all parties to publish private messages?
No comment.
I think that's one of the things you need to have a comment for, Max.
Well, I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, here's where we're at. Okay. We've got no evidence.
Zero evidence.
Well, basically zero, except for like stuff in public circulation that you supplied to me off
Or
stream.
what do you want? What is there something you want evidence of that you? 90% of the article is on YouTube.
Why? I know we know where the evidence is, but it's not supplied in the article itself.
The dates and names of the videos are in the article, and they all have searchable. They all have searchable transcripts on you. Okay, so I don't understand. You're saying we can't talk about the content of the article because when I give you the name and
what is there? What is there
video,
to?
Let me finish a sentence.
But Max, what is
God's
there?
sake.
What's there to discuss?
Sunday, I'm tired of your shit.
But Max,
I want to finish a sentence.
If there's
and
no
then
evidence
you
in the
finish
article, what is there to discuss? You say a thing, it's plausible.
When I
okay.
finish finish what I'm saying, then I would love to hear your response. But
All
until
right.
then, I think we should just take turns speaking.
Okay.
We don't have the kind of rapport that would be necessary to good faith interrupt each other. Sunday, when I say the name and date of a YouTube video, that has a searchable transcript.
Yeah.
Are you saying you don't believe that that video exists?
I'm saying two things. First of all, as happened last night when I asked, not last night, a couple nights ago, when I asked for a source for something, you actually misremembered which video it was from. It
No, I
wasn't.
just misread the date.
The link wasn't in the article. Following that, if indeed all of the evidence you're supplying is on YouTube, that is to say, is controlled by
Well-
Steven's channel, then what you're doing is broadcasting to him exactly what he needs to hide in order to cover his tracks if there's something serious here.
Oh, you're not going to answer my question.
Can
The
you repeat
question
the
is,
question?
if I tell you the name and date of a YouTube video, are you saying you don't believe that that video exists unless I provide a link to it?
No, I'm saying,
Okay, you're saying we can't
look,
talk
right here,
about the
right here,
con-
okay?
we can't
No,
talk
no,
about
no,
the
no, no,
okay.
no. Here's an example. This is what I mean.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
the one I asked you for.
Yes.
So, Destiny has described himself as psychologically abusive in relationships. In January
Yes.
2021, he said, "I'm a really
Yes.
rough person to be in a relationship with. Okay,
Yeah.
anybody that survives a relationship with me for more than like 6 months, okay, props to that person because they're going through some severe fucking psychological abuse. It's a fucking hard thing to deal with. I'm not joking." You then go on
Yeah.
to say, Destiny's publicly stated, da 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 da. This does not tell me anything except for the month in which this was stated. It doesn't tell me where. It doesn't tell me when. It doesn't tell me like on what medium.
You're right. I should include that that was a YouTube video.
No, it needs a footnote or something that has a link in it. And then the link presumably needs to go to like an archive channel, so it can't be something that like Steven can delete. Because there's two things have happened here. You made a
Okay.
statement that you haven't substantiated, whether
Sunday-
it's true or not.
I don't know how else to tell you this. I don't really want to talk about the form of the article. But it sounds like you don't want to talk about the content because you doubt the veracity of it.
No,
So
I don't.
that kind of leaves
no,
us
no,
not really able to talk about it.
I don't doubt the veracity of it. I have no basis to doubt the veracity of it because this is
Okay. So
information that has
do you
no
think
substantiation
that
behind it.
do you think that well, do you think Destiny said that?
We've established that he said that. We found the clip, but it wasn't here. It needed to be here.
Okay. So are we talking about the form of the article? Or are we talking about the content?
We're talking about the absence of content. This is a content issue. There is not a citation in this essay for this claim.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Sunday. When I said I don't want to talk about the format, I was including whether or not there are citations. I'm interested in talking about what the article is about.
All right.
The topic of the article.
Okay.
Streamer dynamics, sexual misconduct, abuse, specifically Destiny,
Okay.
broader, my experience, the things I've written about.
All right,
not
let's
how
talk
I
about
wrote,
abuse.
not how I wrote. Okay, but hold on.
Okay.
Not how I would just let me finish.
Please.
Not how I wrote about them. If you want to talk about how I wrote it, I don't want to talk to you anymore. If you want to talk about what I wrote about, then I would like to do that. But it doesn't feel like I don't know. I feel like I've asked you a bunch of times to.
All right. Let's
not-
talk about abuse then. Just for the sake of brevity, what's the? Is there a quintessential example here you'd like to focus on if we're talking
No.
about abuse?
No.
That's content though, Max. That's a contentful question. Just I'm asking for your guidance. I want to front and center
No.
the
I
best
can't.
case.
I can't tell. No, there's no. You already.
Do you
asked me
think
this
there's?
like
Do you
3
think?
times.
Okay. How about let's particularize it to me. Do you think there's a case here that, judging from your experience with me so far, I would be particularly amenable to?
No answer. No comment. I can't do that. I can't compare. I'm really not. Even in other conversation, like whose parents were worse, whose abusive partner was worse. I'm not. I don't compare abuse. All it does is.
I'm not asking you to compare accounts. Is there
Don't compare accounts. All it does is minimize it. I don't want to do that.
your locution of the accounts? Is there one in here that you think you give with particular clarity that it would be the most useful to go over?
No.
All right, Anna it is. We'll talk about Anna, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Can you have a much more intimate familiarity with this issue? Can you refresh me on the Anna case?
Anna publicly tweeted in the fall of 2020 that Destiny seemed to have some sort of narcissistic traits. She DM'd Destiny in January 2021, asking him to talk. They started chatting. The chatting soon became flirtatious. Destiny invited her on stream. She was a very small Twitch streamer at the time. I think they had 3 discussions before agreeing to meet that summer. In all 3 discussions, she was kind of critical of his. There were debates about like whether it's sociopathic to have an open relationship, stuff like that. So it was all pretty critical of him, but in a way that he seemed to find like interesting or fun or engaging. They met and had sex in the summer of 2020. Wait, am I getting my years? Was it 2021? They meet in 2021?
I think they
No, I think
did
it's
their first stream together
2020.
in 2020 of May 2020.
Yeah,
you said.
sorry. 2020 is the year I'm talking about. All this happened. It was 2019 when she first tweeted about him. 2020, summer 2020, they met. They had sex. He said that he had represented himself as polyamorous, and assured her that it's not just a pump and dump, or it's not just a one-time thing where I'm going to lose interest in you after we have sex. We're really close friends. After they had sex, he became distant and unavailable. She DM'd him a bunch. And then she said on stream, no, then there was like I don't know, whatever. Tensions rose. I guess the main 2 points of contention were he was upset that she had streamed from their hotel room, revealing that they were in a hotel room together, which she did not view as revealing that they were having a sexual relationship. Then he outed their sexual relationship on stream, which she viewed as him outing her. Then she said on stream that he basically implied that he had abandoned his child by moving away from him. Destiny was very upset about that, and then he just called her crazy and started reading their DMs on stream, and that's what kind of launched her feeling like he had outed her and was taking control of the narrative and calling her crazy. And then they had a debate about it, basically a debate about whether she was crazy.
Can we pause very quickly just for my clarification? Just yes or no?
Sure.
Would you characterize this dynamic at this point as being abusive? Oh, we lost connection. Give it a sec. It'll come back. Fuck.
Okay.
Give it a
Wasn't it Anna that streamed him, not the other? Yeah, Anna. I don't think he was visually in the background, but I think maybe you could hear his voice in the background. Something like that.
Looks like we're back. Okay, sorry. So, the narrative thus given, would you say this constitutes abuse or one-sided abuse by Destiny?
Yeah, I don't think you should. I think if your well, I don't think you should have sex with fans. So, I don't know if it's abuse on its own automatically, but I would say it's unethical, maybe misconduct. I don't think you should have sex with your fans.
But the sex with fans part, though, that's the part that you're highlighting as abuse in this case.
No, I just want to answer your question uninterrupted.
Okay,
Will you let
continue.
me do that?
I thought you were done.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay.
You pause a
I
lot,
don't
I'm
think-
sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to apologize for my pauses. I think having sex with fans is probably bordering on misconduct. Bringing those fans on stream and having debates with them about sexual topics, while you're being sexual with them and boosting their career, I would say is definitely sexual misconduct. I don't think you should do that. On the lighter side, but still, I would call that wrong. And then I think where it starts to get into abuse is when you are retaliating against someone you're having sex with for criticizing you on their very small stream when you're a gigantic streamer and smearing them as insane. I think it's totally fine to defend yourself and say something like, if they make an allegation about you that's not true, say that's not true. If they make a criticism about you that gains traction, think it's okay to knock it down and say, no, I don't think that's fair, and I hope you guys know I love my son, blah blah blah. I think that's fine, but launching a campaign to discredit and smear the other person as insane, I would
Okay.
call that abusive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Do you want to continue?
Sure. He.
This was explained in the article. It just
Yeah, this is all explained in the article.
Citations were given, but it was explained. Continue.
If you mention the citations again, I'm gonna leave.
Make my day. I'm so underslept. Continue.
Oh, do you want to stop talking?
No, we need to continue for as far as you can handle.
It's not I can't handle it. I just don't want to talk about it.
Can you handle talking about something you don't want to talk about?
Yes,
Good.
but that doesn't mean I'm
Proceed,
going to.
please.
Okay. Do you care about this?
Do I care about this?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have format issues if I didn't care about this. The Anna thing in particular is pretty bad. I don't know if anything can be done about it. It definitely
Do you care about
deserves
Anna?
being talked about. In the abstract, yeah, I don't know Anna. I don't know anything about her. She could be awful.
But do you care though?
Do I care about Anna? What do you mean
Yeah.
by that? Am I losing sleep over this? No. Do I care that somebody is being smeared as insane unjustly in order to cover over an embarrassing set of relationships by a large streamer? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think what I've seen of this is defensible on Steven's end.
Do you care about her well-being?
Sure. Depends on what you're asking. If you're asking me like, would I treat her well-being in what I do as something meriting like protection or advocacy, sure. But I mean, realistically, Max, like the stuff that you do cite for this, like the DMs, as far as I am aware, these were not supplied with her consent. We have no idea what the result of this will be for her in the long run. I turn the question back to you. Do you care about Anna?
Yes.
All right.
And that is why I don't think you're the right person to talk about this with.
Did you have her consent to publish the evidence of this? The stuff that was specifically from her, like from Lav?
No comment.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to say about the content of this report?
No, I think this was a massive mistake on your end on multiple levels. I think this was unwise. I think for myself, if I cared about the content here, and some of this I think I do, how you've gone about this is the last way I would ever have done so. And I think, frankly, had you done so more carefully, it actually would have credited to you more in the long run. I think being careful and being quiet and making sure that the right people got this in the right way, if you had a case to be made, and it seems in some cases, like I think with the Anna one you did, I think you needed to do that and you didn't. I think you wanted to be the man, and I think that was a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm not a friend of Steven. I get nothing from this. If he's doing stuff like this on the regular, especially with the Anna case. But like even if I came out and just defended this and just said, "Hey, look, like it was sloppy, but his heart was in the right place. He was trying to wouldn't help her. Wouldn't help you. Wouldn't help me. This is a mistake. You've turned yourself into a ball and chain around the neck of all of this information. I think it would have been infinitely better to simply pool the information that you used to get this into one place so it was separated from your person, so other people could sift through it and use it without that baggage. And I think if you ever do something like this again, I think you need to take that seriously, because the delivery, unfortunately, this is a visual medium. Optics are everything. Everything. So, like, do you have something here? Probably there's stuff in here that's bad that needs address. I would say the Anna one is a fairly clear-cut case. However, how you acquired that information meant that it behooved you more than anything else to separate it from your person as soon as possible. And I certainly would not have, condoned acquiring that information without her consent in the first place. Once it's out there, somebody else can make use of it because now it's in the public and the cat's out of the bag. But you in particular, I think that was a bad move. And I think continuing to do the circuit on streams defending it is a bad move. I think the wisest thing at this juncture would be to separate yourself from it as much as
Wait,
possible.
are you criticizing me for having this conversation with you right now?
Yeah, actually.
Doesn't that imply that you don't really care about the cause or any of the victims if you're willing to have a conversation that you think damages the article?
No, because I think in criticizing you, while
Well, you
maintaining
could criticize
that there
me.
is, while maintaining
No, you could
that
criticize
there's-
me. You
no,
could
no,
criticize
you
me.
misunderstand me. I'm not finished. By criticizing
Okay.
you while maintaining that some of the information here does actually merit some attention by the proper hands. I
Who are
would
the
hope.
proper
I would hope.
hands?
I would hope. Anyone who doesn't have to preface the article by saying they're famous or saying the minors and cuties are cute, Max. I don't know how else to spell this out for you.
Hey, minor could mean a 17-year-old. Let's not mince our words.
They were not 17.
No, they were 11. Well, in real life they were 12 to 14, but I thought they were 11 when I said
Okay.
that.
I stand corrected. Someone who doesn't have to preface the article by saying they are famous for saying the 11-year-olds and cuties are hot. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't
good.
like it when people lie about me.
Well,
You didn't really
I'm
address
grateful-
my last. You didn't really address my last
grateful that
question.
you caught
How
me
do you,
before I
if you
commit
care about the victims, how do you square doing a stream with me and then on the stream telling me that it's harmful to the victims?
Because I'm validating the information that you are tainting with your persona. At least that's the ambition, to the extent that I can.
That may be an ambition, but you're not reconciling the question I'm asking you. You are, by your own admission,
No,
harming
you're
the
bearing
victim.
out exactly what I said. You have attached the validity of these cases to the validity of your ability to personally sell it.
You said I shouldn't be doing interviews about it, but we're doing an interview right. Supposedly, we're doing an interview right now.
We're talking. I wouldn't call this an interview.
Okay,
I don't really
you're
do
saying I should. I'm
interviews.
sorry. I'm so sorry, Sunday. You said I shouldn't be talking about it on stream, but if talking about it on
I think there are questions I asked that it behooved you to have answers to. To be honest, I rather hoped some of them you would have answers to. I rather hope there was actually a logic behind some of these decisions.
yeah.
That remains a mystery. I rather hoped that you had something in the bag, like, hey, I actually did have this person's consent, da 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 da, and it got really messy. But it was not as.
I still don't think you're really
It wasn't
answering,
this
but
close.
I guess
What
I don't
was-
see
repeat the question. Let me see if I can answer you.
if you care about the victims or the cause, and you think that talking to me on stream hurts that cause,
I don't think talking to you on stream hurts that cause. I think you talking on stream hurts that cause.
well then
I
why
think
would
I
you
would
invite-
I would contend on stream right now that there's stuff here that actually merits looking further into. I think the problem
Why would you invite me to talk on stream if you think doing so hurts the cause?
because you're going to continue to talk on stream about it anyways, and as a consequence of that, all of this information is going to be attached to you solely.
So because I'm going to do it anyways,
And by the way, not just
you
about
might
Steven.
wait. No, stop. I want to just nail down this point. Because I'm going to do it anyways, you might as well partake.
No, not I might as well partake. I asked you really
then-
pointed questions about the decisions involving the composition of this thing and the
I know.
acquisition of the
I'm
information.
not
in
asking you.
it.
I'm not asking you about what you asked me. I'm saying if you think me talking about it at all on stream harms the victims.
I didn't say categorically. I said you doing the circuit as you've been doing does. In this particular conversation, I don't think so. I don't think this
Okay.
conversation harms the victims.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No. That's what I was asking. That answers my question. Okay. In the wrong. I wasn't the right person to write this.
Yes.
That's not
not
some-
not
but
only
I-
that.
but I-
Not only
but
that.
wait,
Not
wait,
only
let me
that.
fin-
No,
let me-
no, no.
let
But
me-
not.
let
But
me-
not just that. But not just that. Actually,
Yeah.
say something a little bit stronger. Not only
Okay.
were you not the right person to write this, but in the course of so doing, and by the mere fact of doing, I think you've actually done harm yourself to the victims that are victims in this.
But I am me.
And
So I don't know.
maybe
I
that's a
don't-
mistake too. But you should have actually given that
being me.
information.
You're saying being me is a mistake.
Yes, I think being Mr. Girl, the man who's famous for saying the kids, the 11-year-old kids and cuties are hot,
Thank
I think
you.
that's a mistake. I think you have made mistakes that have made it so that what you say is not received the way it is received by somebody else, and not in a good way,
In a bad way.
in a very bad way.
Okay, so
I think
I don't know that there's really anything I can do about
there is.
being me. About being me.
There is.
What,
There is actually.
what do you think I should do?
Burn the article, put the information in some kind of publicly accessible area, walk away from it.
Burn the
Delete
article?
it. Just get rid of it. Get rid of the whole Substack. Just delete the whole goddamn thing.
Okay,
Doesn't exist.
just walk me through this. Delete the article,
Yeah.
and then what?
Compile all the sources you have, give it to somebody else, let them publish it on Reddit or something.
Compile the sources Okay,
Yeah.
when you say delete, are you saying I should delete everything that like copy paste the article into a Google Doc?
The,
then
the
delete.
Destiny report. Just
No,
get
no.
rid of
Let
it.
me finish my sentence. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Delete, copy and paste the article into a Google Doc. Delete everything that's not like a quote or a DM transcript or something.
Yeah.
And then give it to somebody else.
Literally anybody. Elder Drazi. Give that
anybody.
kid a boost.
Who?
Give that Elder Drazi weirdo a boost.
Okay, so I give it to Elder Drazi.
Yeah, there you go.
And then tell him to write essentially the same
Don't tell
article.
him anything. Just give it to somebody else.
Oh, and just give it to him, and
give
then
it away. Just
in a
give it
couple
completely away.
months, Elder Drazi releases an article on Reddit that is just.
Oh, I'm not going that far.
That's-
Just give it away. Put it out there. Let it be to somebody else. And leave out the Anna comments and anything that you didn't have permission to publish to, if you can. Maybe it's beyond past the point of that mattering at this juncture, but be a good move. This was a mistake. If you want to go back to the drawing board, I would approach a news article with the DDoS kid thing, because I think that could actually cause problems for Steven if there's something there. If that's really your intention, is to disrupt him from doing bad stuff, that's the only card you have, because none of this is going anywhere. As is. I wouldn't recommend that, by the way, because it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, it sounds like. Yeah,
If you wanted to do good here, you had to separate it
There's
from
more.
yourself. I told you
There's
that months ago.
more. What is that? If I wanted to do good
If
here,
you
what?
wanted to do good here, you had to separate it from yourself. I told you that months ago. You had to. There's no information here that's specific to you, except for stuff that you acquired to listen.
Well, why don't you do it?
This is all public stuff. This is already known. That's the biggest criticism I've seen across the board. Everybody already knew this stuff, with the sole exception, and once again, only belatedly, because actually this was published by you earlier, with the sole exception of stuff that you acquired from DMs without the permission of the originator. All of this stuff is already known. Like, it's done.
Do you have any? I acquired it without the permission of the originator.
When I ask you if you did have the permission, you say no comment. I'm going to interpret that as no. Because if I had permission, that's the first thing I would say. That's the point of permission. That's why you get it.
If you're okay, I don't.
It's evidence that you have a right to this information.
If me saying no comment means no to you, then I don't think we should talk about this.
Max, I don't think you understand that means no to everyone. Everyone on Earth. Nobody thinks when you say no comment to a question, unless it's to your benefit, unless it's like, ooh, he's got a secret thing behind the scenes. You have permission to publish information that you already published. There's no other reason to say no comment. No other
Why don't
reason.
you do? Okay, well, disagree. The reason I'm saying no comment is because I had decided early on to not reveal anything about any source that is not on the record, no matter what I'm asked.
That's not revealing something about the source. That's revealing something about the thing that you are already revealing, which is the published evidence.
No, I'm not going to say anything about anybody. I'm just not going to. So
Has Anna said that you didn't have permission?
When?
Has Anna said that you didn't have permission?
Oh, has Anna said I didn't have permission?
Yes.
No. I don't think so.
Okay, maybe somebody on chat wants to provide me with that. If that
I think in the article, I published a DM she wrote about me saying that I was manipulative and that I scared her.
That you were coercive is the language.
Did she say I was coerced? I don't know if she said that.
It's in the article. You said she was coercive. I read that here.
Oh, okay, then yes.
Aiko was taking me to task last night for that because I didn't know if it was
Okay,
coercive
listen,
based on the earlier locution. but
Sunday,
she said
why
it
don't
explicitly.
you do something with all this information?
What would you have?
Why don't you write something?
What would you like?
I don't know. You're saying somebody else should write something. Why don't you do it?
This is a litany of Destiny's sexual indiscretions. Why on earth would I write something about this? Unless there's a crime in here. There's literally no purpose. This information is already known. Like the Anna thing, the correcting on that, great. That's good, okay? Like, yeah, Destiny characterizing Anna as abusive while all that was going down.
Well, so if the information's already known, then what was there? Why would I take all the sources and evidence and hand them off to somebody if there's no point in writing it?
Well, some of it wasn't, right? Like some of it was stuff that was
okay. So the
archived,
information
some of it was
is
stuff...
wait. So is it worth? Is it
no, because
worth
it's not. No, because this feeds into what I was saying earlier about the
wait.
format.
Is it worth writing about or not?
No. You're missing the point. Earlier, the reason why I was talking about format was for things like this.
You said
Max, chill. 1 sec.
Oh,
because
no,
you said
no. I'm not going to chill. No, I'm tired of. I'm tired of this. And frankly, I'm tired of you, Sunday. I'm tired of your bullshit. Do you think that this should be written about or not?
Max, because you cited.
Do you think this?
You told Steven which VODs he needs to hide.
Do you
understand?
Do you think this should be written about or not?
Not by you. And if you were going to do this, it's
do you think this should be written?
Okay,
I'm so sorry. Do you think it should be written about by anybody? As of right now,
I don't know if it required.
Do you think? Okay,
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question.
Okay.
If it required, because there's a contingency here. If it required getting information that somebody doesn't have a right to from the victim, then no, it shouldn't be written. You're just doing more to them. Like what's
as it stands.
Yes.
Do you think you told me to delete the article and give the evidence to somebody else? My impression was that you thought that somebody else should look at it and then write something about it.
No, I think
you said wait. Sorry, I'm so sorry. You said that it should be published on Reddit. What did you mean?
I mean that the evidence itself, just the raw data, the clips, the screen caps, all of that stuff.
Yes.
Put it into some single place, cast it to the winds, and let people discuss it. Because that stuff is getting taken down from Reddit. That stuff is getting hidden on YouTube, etc., etc. And keeping that stuff alive is useful.
So you're saying a Reddit, a Reddit post that is just links to the clips with no writing?
None.
Zero writing, just links to clips.
Labels and dates. Labels, dates, something to indicate the content.
Okay, should it have a title?
Sure.
And who should write that title and post this to Reddit?
Dealer's choice.
Do you think somebody should do it?
Sure, absolutely. I am.
But you don't. But you.
Hey,
wait. No. Let me please just answer my question.
I am.
Do you think somebody should do that? That's. I didn't. Okay. Do you think that somebody should do that, and you don't think they should write any introduction or explain what the document is or what it is about or what the post is about at all? You don't think it should be explained at all? Just a list of links.
The link should not be posted without consent from the victims if they're property.
I'm so sorry. I was asking a
Second.
question about the.
And
I'm so
and I'm
sorry.
answering.
I'm so sorry. I was asking about the format of the Reddit post that you're imagining. In your imagination, does it have an introduction that is written by a human being?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you do
Yes.
think that somebody should write something about this, given the evidence, using the
I
evidence that
think I
I've
think
compiled.
I think
Yes,
I
yes. You
think
think somebody should?
yes,
Okay,
I think
okay.
compiling these
So why
pieces of
don't? Okay,
information will require at some point somebody writing on
okay,
them.
great. So since you think it is worth writing about now, we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it?
Um well, two reasons. First of all, I'm not
Okay.
super familiar with this material. I don't have the evidence, which is one of my main complaints about it.
Well,
And
I'll
then
give you the
three,
evidence.
I don't feel like it, okay?
Well, let's address one and two.
There are
Let's
bigger
address one
fish
and
than Destiny.
let's address one and two first.
Okay.
Number one, you're not familiar with it. I mean, it's all compiled for you. You can just watch this shit. I mean, it would take a while, but you could familiarize yourself with it.
Where's it compiled? What
Oh
are
well,
you talking about?
it'll probably be compiled by the end of the day, and I can send you the folder.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's being worked
Hey,
on.
hey, look. I'd be happy. Leave the Anna and Lav comments out of there if you don't have permission to publish those, okay? Be
Number
good.
two. Number two. Wait, what was your second reason? You said you're not familiar. The third one was you don't care.
I wouldn't be able to categorize them or describe them. I'd have to go through them all. I don't have time for that. Like, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, like,
Oh, you
I
don't have time.
I don't have time.
You're too busy.
I'm too busy.
So, the only
Other people we
person-
both know are not. You will find people with time.
Okay.
I have faith.
Okay. And you don't care. You don't care. You don't care about Destiny.
In a world full of evil, bad people with lots of power, the professional StarCraft player who's having
You have to
sex with a
focus
bunch of
on
his
the
fans.
real bad guy, like not so erudite. The real villain of this sordid cesspool we find ourselves in. The one who really needs
Not so
5
erudite,
hours worth
not
of
so-
the
not
one who
so-
really needs 5 hours worth of videos made about her is erudite.
Well, no, it's just
Destiny,
like, no,
eh.
Max.
Yeah.
First of all, 5 hours. It's nothing on what you've done here. But secondly, not so erudite was speaking to stuff that's germane to my field, in a dishonest way, using credentials that she's fudged in order to leverage credibility that she doesn't actually have a right to claim. That's different from this. I wasn't going
terrible.
after the
That's
crimes
a-
of not so
that
erudite.
is-
I was talking about a very
right.
specific thing, and I'm done with that.
Okay.
In terms of, like, as to why I'm not
You
dealing
just
with
you don't
Destiny,
strike me as somebody who's short on time for making
I am
hit
short on
pieces.
time. I am short
Okay.
on time. I just don't stop
Well, then
working.
okay.
I don't sleep.
All right. Well, I think you've accomplished your goals for this conversation.
What do you suppose my goals were? You could have
that
just
was-
answered the questions. Like, you know what I would have done in your place?
Yes.
Had you asked?
I know
like,
you would have tweeted misogynistic comments about Kyla, and then made a
I
5-hour
haven't made
video.
misogynistic Kyla. I would have made misogynistic comments about Kyla. What are you referring to?
Well, I don't want to repeat them, but
But
I
do
think
you? What are you referring to? When?
I think when you levy insults at women involving their acrylic nail polish, you're being misogynistic.
Did I levy an insult at Kyla about her acrylic nail polish?
Yes.
What did I say?
I don't remember, but you talk about her.
I'm pretty sure I
So you
mentioned
talk
because she
about
kept.
her.
No, because she on stream she kept picking her ear and like putting her nails in her teeth afterwards. It was gross. That wasn't her.
Yes.
That wasn't her nail polish. That was her
think
being
that-
gross. That's like Nick Fuentes picking his nose.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're being misogynistic when you do that.
Well, Max.
As I said that on Twitter. Yes.
I think that's the ticket, Max. I think you've got me there.
I'm not trying to get you. I'm just saying that
No, just own it. Own it. You got me. I'm
yeah.
I'm done. I'll be
Yeah,
deleting the channel tonight. I think
I
it's
came
over.
here to get you, and I finally did.
I think if you actually care about the people involved in this and you actually want to do some good and you actually want to honor the aims that you claim to have when you started this project, I think you need to separate your persona from this. I think you need to honor the consent of the people whose information you're using to make the case, and I think you need to pass it off to somebody else who can make that case without it being smeared by your past reputation. If somebody has to write their own biography at the introduction to whatever piece gets written about this, if ever, it needs to not start with, I am famous for talking about how attractive I find 11-year-old children on YouTube. I think, for me, that's not a hard sell, okay? I don't know, though. And it would save you a lot of grief. You could put this all behind you. You could do stuff that's meaningful to you. And you would incidentally be doing more for the people in this article than you are right now. There's a reason why people in the article who do not like Destiny at all are coming out to correct the record. White Nervosa is not a Destiny fan. I am not a Destiny fan. Whick's a hobbit. We don't need to worry about him. He's just defending his own kind. That's what I think you should do. I don't hate you. I don't. I actually don't. Okay.
No,
I'm
I know
sorry.
what you're,
But
I know, I don't think you do.
But
I think you're.
But I'm being sincere. If you care about this, back to the drawing board. Make the information public, make it accessible to other people who can then pick it apart themselves and come to their own conclusions. Get rid of the stuff that you don't have a right to. And I think that would speak well to you if you did that, frankly. Look, like in your situation, you don't really need to worry about your reputation at all. Like realistically for you. Like it's
Oh,
near
I
the
do.
Earth's core.
Oh, but I do.
But you don't.
But I
don't,
do.
Max.
We just have different values.
No, this isn't about values. This is a general public point. You have nothing
about what we have
at the
different
point.
values about what makes for a good reputation and what makes for a bad reputation.
A good reputation is a reputation that allows you to do things. The reputation you've cultivated does not. You're not streaming from Rumble because your reputation has empowered you.
I'm streaming from Rumble because I stood up to Destiny platforming Fuentes instead of making 5 hours of videos about Kyla's.
Why were you vulnerable to that? Other people have stood up to Destiny for Nick Fuentes. Why were you specifically vulnerable to that?
Because I made a anti-rape video.
No, because you made a bunch of content that sent spikes in all of YouTube's algorithms or whatever. You have all the markers.
The video I got banned for had been up for 3 years.
It doesn't matter. They looked at your channel afterwards to judge your request to be reinstated. And what did they see? Probably a mountain of other reports that were not about that. And in addition,
your
a music video called I Am a Pedophile. I wouldn't be doing you a kindness by flattering you for this. Like, that's a weight around your ankles. That is like... It's bad.
Someday.
But it gives you an advantage. It sort of frees you psychologically to do things that other people can't do. The question is, are you going to do stuff that's positive, or are you going to do stuff that's self-aggrandizing and sabotaging? Not just to you, but to the causes you ostensibly care about. There are a lot of bad people on this
Stop
platform.
letting him gallop you. I don't have anything to say. I think the problem is I don't have anything else to say to you, Sunday.
Okay, well, if we're done, then we're done. But
I think we're done. I mean, if you have any final, if you have any new thing to say that's not just you repeating yourself, but I think we're done.
Try and get some sleep. I think your judgment is impeded. Good night. Oh fuck, I ran. God damn it. Have a good night, everyone.